Hey guys, and it's another episode of How to Build Your Business with your hosts, Leon J and Mr. John Manning. So we're on to the third step of this video series that we're currently doing, and today we're talking about leverage. We're looking at really, as I said to you yesterday, two things. One is how to automate, and the second is how to focus your energies and where to put your effort and your money in your business to get the maximum return from it.
You mentioned only two ways to automate a business yesterday.
Yes. And you're sitting there pretending like you don't know what they are, but I will answer you for the benefit of everybody watching. Number one,
People. Yeah.
That's it, right? I mean, if you look at this, how many businesses are out there? Okay, let's say, I don't know, McDonald's. Not exactly my favorite business in the world, but always a classic example for any business wanting to look at how to leverage systems, right? McDonald's, like Ray Kroc wasn't sitting there running every business. He's not in every single shop. He cannot be omnipresent. Right? So how did he manage things? He created systems that people could follow, and it was the people that automated his business. He was able to scale his business because of leveraging people. And if you look, almost every single business does this. If you think about Apple, for example, I mean, Steve Jobs is now long gone, and Apple continues. Why? Because he has an army of people out there doing the work that surpass his existence. So this is really important to understand, that for a real business to become fully leverageable, for a real business to grow and go beyond the original founder, it needs people. It needs people to run the customer service. It needs people to build the products. It needs people to run the marketing campaigns. You need people. Now, there's ways you can systematize that and create systems for more efficiency so that people know better what they're doing and why they're doing it and how to do it.
Yeah, like you mentioned McDonald's here, that's kind of a big example, but
Yeah.
This goes down to solo entrepreneurs also.
Absolutely.
People who, are by themselves that want to start building a team. They can create SOPs, do screen shares and show someone, whether it's in a different country, you can hire someone and have someone that works for you solely.
Yep.
That knows your standard of procedure, and once you teach them it once or twice, then there you go. You're starting to use people to automate.
And as you said right there, like if you're doing the screen sharing, you record it. Well, now you have a database of teaching materials, right? So that means that the next person you hire, you don't need to repeat the process manually. You now just simply give them the recordings that you had previously, so that you can now automate the training process as well, so that it's easy to expand your team by every time you bring somebody new on. So always be looking for ways to systematize any form of recruitment and training process, so that you can really expand your business. The second is machines, right? Machines.
Software.
Well, in the case of computers, absolutely, right? Software is what we use to program the machine, and it's the way to give the machine the instructions what we want it, that we want it to do. But if you go back into agriculture many years back, people were able to create a large amount of leverage with their time and their teams by giving their teams better tools, right? I mean, the word leverage itself comes from the word lever, and lever itself is the most basic form of machine.
I mean, we drove by some water buffaloes on the way here.
Exactly. I mean, that's people have been leveraging machines for a very long period of time, and so this is nothing new. The idea of actually using plows and using carts and wheels and levers and everything else, it's been applied across industries throughout time. Now, here's the thing with anything: if you are trying to be a professional, then use the best tools. Right? You don't go out and hire a builder that's using a kid's toy set to build your house, right? It's ridiculous. Yet how many times do we sit down and see people trying to build their businesses on the cheap, and they're using kids' toys essentially? They're using amateur tools. That doesn't mean you have to spend a fortune these days, but you do need to be acting like a professional. And you do need to be planning. So the number of times I see people just doing things manually, where they could have got a piece of software to do it for them, or they could buy a better piece of software that would do it faster or quicker or more efficiently or at a better standard. So if you want to be a professional, if you want to scale your business, then look on how you can automate. And with the internet business, there's so many ways, so many different aspects that you can automate. You can automate the lead capture process. You can automate the follow-up process. You can automate the sales process. You can automate much of the product delivery, or in many cases all of the product delivery. You can automate some of the customer support. There's so many different aspects to your business that you're able to automate or simplify, and yet so few people are planning consciously, looking at their map of their business that we spoke about yesterday, and looking at where the key points of leverage are, and where can I automate with software, where do I need to automate with people, and what's the most efficient way to automate with either one.
And by zoning in here and focusing on what you're good at and what's going to produce most for your business, you're implementing the 80-20 rule automatically.
Yep.
And so that's one of the key factors in leverage is working on what's going to produce the most.
Absolutely. And so here's the thing, right? Exactly that, leverage. Now, I created a formula that some of you will have heard before, I'm sure, but that's T plus T plus T multiplied by T equals R. This is the formula for leverage, because T plus T plus T is basically training plus tools plus team, and then added together, multiplied by time, is going to equal results or revenue. Right, so if you look at this, most of you sitting there now are likely to be fairly trained up. I know most people have invested in a ton of training or read online so many different things, and they've got all of this information, they've got all this knowledge, but they're still unable to make money. And the false level of thinking here is that they're just missing some more information. They need a bit more information. So actually what you realize is that most of those are now missing tools and they're missing teams. Keep those in balance, because let's say you have a team. Well, if a team, and remember, each one of these is not just about the size, but also about the quality. So you could have really bad training and be misled. You could have a terrible team and just be struggling your whole life. You could have awful tools and they could break all the time. But if you have a team that are very well trained and given the best quality tools, now you're creating the maximum leverage over time, which gives you the biggest result. I mean, it's extremely simple. It's very fundamental, yet very few people are actually analyzing their business in this kind of context, where they're able to look at it and say, right, okay, what is my priority right now? Where's my key point of investment? Where's my key point of leverage? It's not that you ever stop investing in training. It's not that you ever stop investing in tools or your team, right? You're constantly trying to build a platform that keeps increasing and increasing and increasing with quality and with size, and that's how companies grow. So that's the kind of big leverage formula right there. Now there's another strategic concept, which is the 464 principle. So 464 is based out of 80-20. And the 80-20 rule is, fundamental, right? It's found throughout business, it's found throughout the world. Now, the 464 principle is leveraging, it's a concept that I believe Perry Marshall really popularized. But essentially, 464 is 80-20 of 80-20. And, that means 80% of 80% is going to give you 64%. 20% of 20% is going to give you 4%. And so you end up with this 464 leverage.
Basically, it's hyper-focusing on the best thing for you to work on in your business.
Right. So, I mean, if you think about this, where does the 80-20 rule apply? The 80-20 rule applies in terms of, let's say, 80% of your leads will generate 20% of your sales. 80% of your 20% of your customers will generate 80% of your profit. 20% of your customers are going to give you 80% of your customer support nightmares. So, the 80-20 can apply all over the place, but you want to ask yourself the question, for example, what is the 20% of effort that I should be taking to increase my traffic by 80%? What's the 20% of effort that I should be creating to keep my to increase my customer satisfaction by 80%? What's the 20% of customers that I need to get rid of to reduce my customer support nightmares right down? And if you want to become really efficient with this, you start looking at 464. What's the 4% of effort that I can do that will increase my marketing results by 64%? And, you know, it's not an exact science. You know, there's a lot of predictiveness that you need to be able to predict into the future on this a little bit. But by asking the right questions, you start focusing and targeting on the right kind of answers, and you're more likely to take the correct actions instead of just simply, you know, guesswork.
Yeah, having that mindset lets you look at your to-do list in a whole new light. You see a list of to-dos that, I mean, a lot of you probably have to-do lists, and there's 10 things on there. Well, oftentimes you want to check off the ones, the most you could do, the easiest ones. But if you look at it and you say, which one of these is going to create me the most money, which one of these is going to build this long-term business faster, rather than get me the most money actually right away, that's a good way to put it into perspective.
Right. And you don't need to buy all the training in the world. What's the 4% of training that I really need that's going to skyrocket my business? What's the 4% of the tools out there that I really need to focus on that's going to get me 64% of the result? What's the 4% of the people out there that I need to hire? And, you know, don't just hire the cheapest, but hire the most effective. Get the maximum leverage. You know, it's not all about dollar per hour ratios. You can hire somebody for $3 an hour in the Philippines, great, good on you, but if they're not getting the result, then you're just wasting $3 for every hour you're hiring them, or you're not getting the maximum leverage. You may find you get far more leverage by hiring somebody for $30 an hour, but from a business perspective, you're getting much, much better value for money than you were for the $3 an hour. Not everybody works at the same level, so make sure that you're hiring the most effective 4% of people. Make sure you're investing in the 4% of the most effective pieces of training and the 4% of best quality tools. Focusing on your 4% of your to-do list that's going to give you the biggest return, and get your team asking the same kind of questions. What's the 4% that they need to do that day that's going to have the most impact in your business? So, you know, that's today's lesson for you. You know, we're going to wrap it up now, but just to give you the bigger picture here, in terms of take that plan that we had yesterday, that we spoke about yesterday, and look at applying the T plus T plus T multiplied by T equals R formula to it. Once you've done that, look at this 464 leverage points within that formula over that plan, and you'll start getting a much more clear idea about what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. And don't forget, plan for automation. Always plan for automation. Always be asking, what can I automate? What can I systematize in my business so that you can start freeing up more of your time, getting better results, getting more leverage in your business, and growing something that will create passive income and that also is going to be an asset that you can eventually sell if you choose to.
Yeah, it's about working smart and working hard, because in the beginning you're going to be working 12-hour days anyways, but you might as well be working 12 hours smart the whole time and really pick up the time it takes to get your business going.
Yep, absolutely. So tomorrow, just to give you a bit of a sneak preview, but we're going to be talking about a structure that we've been developing that is essentially 3 blocks of 28 days, and in each block there's like a sequence that you need to follow through to make sure that you're focusing on the right thing in the right order, and so that you can get results and start getting cash flow within the first 28 days, that you can start building and scaling that cash flow in the second 28 days, and that you can really leverage that cash flow and really expand your business in the third 28 days. So this is a real kind of roadmap, if you will. It's a real kind of pocket guide and a blueprint that you can really apply to business so that you can get the maximum result. So we'll explain what that looks like in tomorrow's video, which we're going to shoot in just a minute. So we will see you then.
See you later.
All right.